Thank you for joining us online. We've got 5 minutes with you this afternoon, including any time for questions.
Kia ora koutou, ko Andrew Rahman tōku ingoa. I'd like to start by saying that it is more than just youth who are being harmed online. There are many vulnerable populations as well as individuals, and this isn't just about individual harm, this is about collective harm and whole communities that are being harmed. Banning social media for youth is dealing with the symptoms and not going into the root cause of the problem. Some of these are, the root causes are platform design, the way that things are amplified, and that harmful and hateful content is being amplified because it generates more response and therefore gets more profits. Addiction by design, which others have spoken of, using the latest science to ensure people are addicted and that they're locked in to particular platforms. They've built an audience, they might have monetized it, making it hard to leave. Others exploiting platforms, so those people that are peddling money for hate are getting very successful, and we hear about some of the big ones like Alex Jones and Andrew Tate, but these people earning millions of dollars a day, and plenty like them, for very, very extremely hateful content. What I'm not sure if anyone has talked about is the level of state activity to disrupt online spaces. And I'm talking of, and this is research from a few years ago, for example, BJP in India having a 600,000 troll army of paid trolls that were moving into international online spaces. So it's not like they were just active on Indian spaces, but so many states are doing this. China, Russia, US, Brazil, like it's endemic. And because it's states that are causing harm by design and in huge numbers, we need a state response. I think people have talked about family violence, spyware, GPS tracking, access to accounts, all of this being hardware and software based. And in our submission, we've put in a list of harms that we think youth face. In terms of solutions, we need frameworks and systems. We need an online regulator that covers the whole broad range of online spaces, and we need to focus on systems and not boil it down to individual pieces of content. We need it to have a te tiriti focus because we are Aotearoa based, and so much of the harm is happening to our Indigenous community in tangata whenua. We need it to be human rights based. The voices of those who suffer the harm need to be at the centre of the design. A rights-based approach will mean that all rights are considered, and what we're seeing overseas is particular vulnerable populations are being targeted and silenced online under the notion that they're causing harm when actually it's just an ideological perspective, and we recognise that happens and that often solutions end up being used against marginalised populations most. So we need those kinds of human rights protections to make sure that doesn't happen. We need a national security response. As I said, this is state-level violence being perpetrated against our system. We need a national security level response as well. Algorithmic transparency. How accurate are the machine learning systems? What content is being taken down that shouldn't be because of malicious reporting? What content is not being taken down? Voluntary codes do not work. We have been opposed to the voluntary code that is in place from the start, from before it was published or even open to submissions, because they didn't centre people that were harmed. They didn't centre community, and it hasn't worked. We have not seen since the code being in place that our online spaces are safer, and in fact all of the platforms have been firing trust and safety teams en masse, lowering the community standards. We don't need just regulation, we need enforcement. There is no point in having regulations if there aren't the resources to enforce it, and we need more than just fines. And finally, we need to be working collaboratively with other jurisdictions as this is an international level problem. However, we have to ensure that we maintain our own sovereignty. Not everything that solutions that are overseas will work here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That's all we have time for. Appreciate you